Now, what I wanted to do is look at some mantras. I've written this little book, Yoga of the Planets. This is the front cover. And each planet in the Vedic astrology, there's 9 of them, has a set of 108 mantras. And these mantras are kind of go through all the different energies of that planet. So you go through the 108 mantras, and they're very simple mantras. And by the time you've been through the whole thing, you've kind of, it's sort of awakened all beautiful energies of that planet. So it's been used traditionally, for hundreds of years as a remedy. And it also has a lot of knowledge in it. And it's not just astrology. It's really very yogic. Because most of the mantras have, you can interpret them on a very high level to do with yoga, self-realization, kundalini and all that. So what I've done is I've written, you'll see, I did I've listed the mantras. Each mantra has a translation and then some kind of a commentary. I've just discussed it a bit. So that's the cover of the Mars book. You can get this on Kindle as a separate little book, very inexpensive. And then in a few weeks we'll have the printed book, which has all of the 9 and some extras, goodies. Okay, so it really goes through all the energies. Of course, for the malefic planets, some of the things are more challenging, so we'll have a look at that. But it really brings out the highest qualities. And then the book explains how to find out which mantras are really specific to your chart. And it's really easy. I made it so easy that like any yoga teacher really knows nothing about Jyotish can, even if they don't even have somebody's chart, they can pick out mantras for the student. So I mean the few yoga teachers I've shown it to, they think it's really great. I'm hoping it'll become popular in the yoga world. Because I think, what I found out, people have started, there's a lot of interest in these mantras for the planets amongst people doing yoga. But they're not using proper mantras, like they're just taking some mantra from somewhere without any idea what they're doing. Some of those mantras are not supposed to be used in certain circumstances. But these are very simple. Om Dayakaraya Namah. Om Dayakaraya Namah. Om Dayakaraya Namah. So this is so beautiful, because this is, the fire element, when it's balanced, if somebody has a really strong but balanced fire element in them, they're very compassionate. You have to treat them with respect, but if you do, then they'll go out of their way to look after you, protect you, and all that. So this is really one of the most beautiful, mantras of Mars, I think. So you see, all of these things are really desirable qualities that we would like to have. So if we find that sometimes we're being a little bit cruel or unkind because we got irritated, we didn't mean to, but it just happened, because that's what it is with Mars. So we could do this mantra. It'll activate that quality more. It's this whole point about remedy. These things bring up these positive qualities. Yeah? So this is a particularly lovely mantra. All right, so then I thought, let's see whether I have any saints in my database with Mars Atmakarika. The Atmakarika is the planet in the chart which most describes the incarnation, the current incarnation. So it's like we say, the self, the significator of the self. So this was one. Anyone heard of Sri Ramanuja? He was a few years ago. Yeah, anyone from India or had a strong Indian connection. He's very well known in India because he left a huge impression in the country. He went round and he established so many things. Anyway, so he was a great saint. In Mars Atmakarika, Mars in the first house in Cancer. You see what I said? If you have Mars in Cancer, don't feel bad. There are lots of top grade people like this, you know. So he's famous. He was born in 1017 and he's still famous. Okay, so what we do is, to find out the mantra that goes with this Mars, we have to count the number of navamshas, and one navamsha is 1/9 of a sign. So the 9 navamshas in a sign. So we count round the number of signs, multiply by 9, and then we add a few extras wherever it is in the house, or the sign that it's in. So in the book, there's a little table, and if you have any astrology printout, Vedic astrology, that gives the degree of your planet, you can look it up immediately, you give it straight away. But if you have my software, vedicsoftware.com, it'll show you. So you see Mars is number 36. It's good to see, what is Mars? Well, Mars is the Atmakarika, so it's definitely about him, whatever houses it rules. But here it's ruling the 5th house and the 10th house. So we can look up 36, and this is what we find. Om Vitaragaya Namah. Om Vitaragaya Namah. So it means completely free of greediness. I mean, it's obviously a characteristic of a saintly person. How many of us are completely free of greediness? Raga is passion, greed, anger, envy. All these negative things of Mars are just missing in him, according to this. You see, it actually is very appropriate. So the point is that if the Kundalini is awakened, if one's yogic practice has gone to that point that you've really balanced yourself, then it creates a kind of evenness where you've got over your impatience and all those things, the willfulness and all those sort of lower energies of Mars. And so it's the product of Mars. The Shakti has risen and produced this state. So the difficulty with the lower states of Mars is raga. But with Mars's help as the Shakti, you can rise to a state that's vitaraga, without raga. So, doing the mantra helps. It's inspiration for that. So, like I said, these sets of names and explanations and mores available on Kindle. There's one. The chapters are quite long, so I made them into a series of books, and then the printed book will have everything. And there's a bonus, Secrets of Vimshotri Dasha, some things, new insights.